G'day there, ladies and gents. It's Connor here again from Marquee Industries. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Anyway, you know the drill. Hit like and subscribe and all that, and let's get straight to the Reddit stories. Alrighty folks, we're on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for cutting contact with my childhood best friend because she demanded that I break up with my fiance? Hey everyone. I, 21 female, cut contact with one of my closest friends, Mary, 21, a few weeks ago. While I feel relieved she's out of my life, most of my family and mutual friends think I overreacted, and now I'm starting to second guess my decision. I'm going to put some rather irrelevant background information here. Mary and I practically grew up as sisters. We were neighbours, and our parents started arranging playdates for us before we could even walk. From kindergarten to secondary school, we did everything together. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. I trusted her completely, and never thought of her as anything other than my best friend. Things changed when Mary moved away for university. At first, I missed her, but over time, I noticed how much easier my life felt without her constant presence. I wasn't being criticised, guilt-tripped, or forced to justify my choices anymore. It became clear how much control she'd had over me. Mary had a way of dominating every aspect of my life. She'd dismiss my hobbies and pressure me to quit them, and if she didn't like one of my friends, I'd have to cut ties. You could call me a pushover, but when you grow up with someone like that, it's hard to see the manipulation for what it is. Things really came to a head when I met my now fiancé, Dave, 27. He's amazing, kind, supportive, and everything I've ever wanted in a partner. We clicked instantly, and he's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. But, of course, Mary didn't approve. She immediately tried to plant seeds of doubt, saying he was too old, he'd cheat, or he was only using me. Thankfully, for once, I didn't listen to her, and I'm so glad I didn't. In December, Dave surprised me with a dream vacation, and during the trip he proposed. Everything about it was perfect. He'd planned every little detail, and it was more magical than I could have ever imagined. I was over the moon and couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Naturally, I told Mary, expecting at least some excitement, but instead she downplayed the entire thing. She nitpicked the proposal, saying how she would have done it differently and what could have been better. It stung, but I brushed it off and reminded her that it was my proposal, not hers. A few weeks later, we met in person for the first time in months. That's when things completely fell apart. Out of nowhere, Mary told me I should break up with Dave. When I asked why, her reasoning had nothing to do with me. Instead, she compared him to her boyfriend, Julian, 22, saying things like, Dave makes more money than Julian, and Dave can give you everything, while I have to work for what I want. It was clear she wasn't concerned about me, she was just jealous. She couldn't handle the fact that for once, my life seemed better than hers. That was the breaking point for me. I told her to leave my house, and afterward I sent her a long message explaining how hurt and disappointed I was. I told her that her behaviour was unacceptable, and that I didn't want her to contact me again. Since then, it feels like she's told everyone in our social circle. Mutual friends and even some family members have reached out, saying I was too harsh and should have handled things differently. They said, That's just how Mary is. You've known her your whole life. She's always been in the spotlight and gotten what she wanted. Some even accused me of breaking her heart and told me it was wrong to choose my fiancé over a lifelong friend. Even my mum said she expected better of me, and that's what's making me question my decision. Did I overreact? Mary has been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. Sure, she has her flaws, but we've also shared countless good times and memories. Am I throwing away years of friendship over this? Should I try to fix things, or was cutting her off the right choice? Since some people in the comments are claiming this story is fake, unfortunately it's not. I obviously can't prove it to you, but honestly, what would be the point of making up a story and posting it on Reddit? I've never used Reddit before, and I've no idea what karma is or why anyone would want it. Also, yes, I let AI correct my text, mainly because I was incredibly angry when I wrote it and just kept rambling. English isn't my first language either. Combine those two things, and you can probably imagine that my original text was all over the place. And for clarification, I don't know exactly what Mary told my friends and family since most of the messages I received were pretty vague. I also didn't ask my mum what Mary said had happened. I was too angry to have a calm conversation after my mum told me I was being dramatic, which led to me yelling at her. All I know is that Mary admitted to asking me to break up with my fiancé, but I don't know if she explained why she wanted me to. Lastly, my parents raised Mary like a second daughter, and she's always incredibly kind in front of them. I guess that's why they didn't believe me. Maybe they're just in denial because it's easier for them to handle. I don't know. But I get it. Hearing something bad about someone you like for the first time can make you want to deny it. Nah, not the a-hole for mine. And honestly, this isn't just one incident. This is a lifetime of her bossing Opie around and feeding toxicity into her life. I'd say cut her out for sure. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. I cut ties with a friend a couple of years ago that I now recognise as a narcissist. I've found out so much since breaking ties with her. Opie replies, was it hard for you as well to cut her off? Because honestly, while I'm happy that she's gone, I'm also kind of sad. We've spent some amazing years together, and every memory I have of my childhood includes her. Not the a-hole. It's really easy for everyone else to tell you to keep putting up with Mary's bullcrap because they aren't the ones that have to put up with Mary's bullcrap. They want you to fall back in line so they don't have to deal with the hissy fit she's throwing. She wants to steal your peace like she has done your whole life. You're the only person who can protect it. Bye, Felicia. That bee is toxic. You need women in your life who will lift you up, not push you down. Cut her off. No invitation to the wedding. Opie says, I completely agree, and I'm not planning on inviting her or speaking to her ever again in general, but it's honestly so painful to think about her not being part of my wedding. I've known her forever, and all my childhood memories include her. We've talked about our potential weddings a lot, and how great it would be to have each other as our maid of honor. Yes, you are throwing away years of friendship for your fiancé. Thank the gods. Throwing away a friend who bullies and insults you, who uses guilt trips and emotional manipulation, and who wants to control your life as if you were her puppet, all for a fiancé who has only been kind, supportive, generous and thoughtful, and most importantly, makes you happy. Well done, and not the a-hole. Yeah, agreed. Let's go to an update. I honestly didn't expect for so many people to read my post and to respond in such a positive way. Since some people asked for an update, which I also didn't expect, I'm going to explain what happened today. Also, just a quick heads up, this is probably going to be all over the place since a whole lot went down, and I'm mainly writing this down to understand what exactly happened myself. But first of all, I want to thank everyone who was so kind to share their own stories. It was honestly incredibly mind-blowing to see how many people went through the same thing that I did, and still do, and hearing that cutting contact with their toxic friends was the right thing to do, made me even more sure about my own decision. To all those of you who are calling my post fake, AI, or karma farming, whatever that even means, I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's sadly not any of those things. This is something that's currently happening, and I needed to get off my chest. I'm glad that you've never had to go through something like that, but judging by the comments, my story isn't as unusual or unique as I thought, and as far-fetched as some of you might think. People often have toxic and narcissistic friends in their lives, especially when people around them have enabled their behaviour from a young age, as in Mary's case. I'm also not going to have AI correct my grammar and spelling mistakes this time, so buckle up for some fun sentences. Also, if someone knows any good websites that can correct whole sentences, not just autocorrect but also grammar and stuff, please tell me which ones there are. Me dealing with technology I've never used before is an absolute crap show. There's a reason why I'm studying law and not something IT related, lol. I originally didn't want to talk about or justify my relationship. It's simply not what my post is about directly or an issue that I'm currently facing, but I've decided to address it anyway. Why? I don't know, but there were a handful of people in the comments calling my fiancé a pedophile or assaulter, or saying that he groomed me, and so on. Most of these comments seem to be coming from a place of concern, which I'm thankful for, but some didn't. So yeah, that's probably why I've decided to explain some things. I wasn't groomed, love-bombed, or anything like that. My fiancé is an amazing guy who never forced me to do anything or rushed me into marriage, like some comments suggested. I'm marrying him because he's the one I want to spend my future with. Of course, we could have waited a few more years with getting engaged and married, eventually, but what's the point in waiting when I'm, and he too obviously, sure that he's the right person for me? Marrying at a young age, I'm going to be 23 when we're officially getting married by the way, isn't for everyone, but it's also not uncommon. With some people, you simply have a feeling that it's going to work out great, and when it comes to him, I have that. Some other people also suggested that my parents took Mary's side because they don't like Dave, which couldn't be further from the truth. They love him dearly and have considered him part of the family after a few months of us dating. I'd really appreciate if people who are considering commenting solely on my relationship would refrain from it. It's not what this post is about, and it's not the main focus, and I'm set on my decision to be with him. You can think whatever you want about my relationship, but at the end of the day, you don't know either of us, or what our relationship is like. But now, onto the actual update. We visited my parents around noon today, talked about everything, and tried to understand what had happened exactly. Turns out, Mary really was telling a made-up story while sprinkling in some truth here and there. Apparently she told people, or at least my parents, that Dave was cheating on me with a co-worker of his, which is why she told me to break up with him. She said that this affair had been going on for at least 4 months, and that she knows about it because she'd seen them together at a cafe in a different city a few months ago. Let's assume this would be true. Why didn't she inform me or my parents sooner? Like, imagine your best friend's, back then, boyfriend is cheating on her and you know about it. Wouldn't you tell her right away? This is also why I can't understand why my parents, especially my mum, would believe her in the first place. According to her story, I got incredibly mad, kicked her out, and haven't spoken to her since. Now, some of it is true, as you should know from my original post. For one, her telling me to break up with my fiance, as well as me kicking her out and cutting contact. However, the whole story about Dave cheating on me is something I've heard about for the first time today, and it's completely made up. Just to remind you, she told me to break up with him because, quote, Dave's a better boyfriend than Julian, her boyfriend. By the way, I also feel so sorry for him. I can't imagine how much she must push him around. My mum said that she didn't believe Dave was cheating on me, but was disappointed in me for how I handled the situation, especially since I couldn't have known if Mary wasn't telling the truth. She thought that cutting off my best friend for being concerned about me was too harsh, and that we should have talked it out. I've also assumed that she's scared to lose longtime friends when I cut contact with Mary, which also turned out to be true. Mary told her mother what happened, who just so happened to be best friends with my mum, and according to my dad, Mary's mother is mad at me for treating her daughter badly and accused my mum of not raising me right, so there's that as well. After my mum explained what Mary had told her, I went on to tell her what really went down. The jealousy, the manipulation, the lies, all of it. Basically the things I've said in my original post, plus much more. She didn't believe me at first and said that I was blowing things out of proportion, that Mary had good intentions, but simply didn't know how to communicate them well. I showed her some text messages between Mary and me, told her about past incidents, and how my fiance tried to back me up as best as he could, since my mum wasn't listening at all, and kept defending Mary. To say that I dug deep and told my parents about all sorts of things is an understatement. I even went as far as telling them about a sex incident, so yeah, I didn't leave out any details. My dad believed me from the get-go, but my mum kept going back to how great of a person Mary is and how she just wants the best for me. She also kept saying how I've never had an issue with Mary in the past, not true, and that I'm now creating unnecessary drama because of a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm creating unnecessary drama, maybe not. In my opinion, it's necessary though. I've let her do whatever she wanted for far too long. At some point, my dad simply told her to shut up and to stop making excuses for Mary, so at least I have one parent on my side. My dad's always been a very non-confrontational person and never really stood his ground, especially when it came to my mum. But I found out that he thought that Mary didn't have a good influence on me growing up. He apparently also told my mum that he wanted to limit the contact between Mary and me when we were younger, but my mum didn't see his point and let our friendship continue. So basically, this whole issue could have been avoided if my mum would have put her friendship with Mary's mother aside for her own family. Great. In the end, my mum said that she'd speak to Mary and ask her if what I've said is true, which honestly ticked me off. After everything I've told her, she still wants to crawl to Mary because apparently what her actual daughter says isn't good enough. She tried to justify it since Mary is her daughter too, and it's unfair to just hear out my side of the story. Alright, but you've already had a heartfelt conversation with Mary in which she was lying to you completely. After she said all of that, we started a screaming match. I know, not healthy, but it honestly felt so damn good to just let it all out. To say that I cried heavily out of frustration after talking to my mum is an understatement, and I'm so glad that my fiance was with me because I sure as hell wouldn't have been able to drive home safely. But on a good note, I got ice cream and we watched my favourite show when we arrived back home, which made things better, lol. I've not told my mum that I'm considering not inviting her to my wedding. We're not planning to get married until next year anyway, so there's still enough time for her to make up her mind about who she'd rather believe, and I don't want to create too big of a rift between me and her. As for mutual friends who took Mary's side, I've decided not to respond to them. I'm not sure if Mary told them the same story that she told my parents, but I honestly don't care. I don't want to see Mary ever again, or at least not in the foreseeable future, and mutual friends would make that a whole lot harder than it needs to be. Besides, they're not my only friends or close friends of mine. Dave's also okay with me not running after them to clear his name. If this whole situation should leave this friend group and turn public, I'm going to contact them, but right now, we don't see a point in dealing with Mary's minions. That's something someone called these friends in the comments below my original post. Loved it. Right now, I'm just hoping that Mary messes up her story somehow, and that my mum is going to see her for who she really is. While she's been acting absolutely disgusting towards me, and basically chooses Mary over me in this situation, I think that I can look past this. It's my mum after all. Cutting off friends is one thing, but cutting off close family, that's a whole different story, and I'll try to mend things the best I can. If she's going to stay loyal to Mary, I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's not something I have to think about right now. Once again, thank you for your positive and helpful comments. I've read all of them, but they kept coming in at a rapid speed, and I didn't really know how to respond to most. Also, for those who went through something similar, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, and I'm incredibly glad that, as far as the comments go, all of you could find peace in your decision to cut toxic friends out of your lives. Okay, moving straight to another update. I just want to say this in advance. I don't know if my dad was telling the full truth. I do believe him, but he might have exaggerated or left things out. It's entirely possible that he lied to a certain extent. I personally don't think that, but then again, most of the things he told me yesterday I've heard about for the first time, and they make him seem incredibly innocent. Maybe he was lying, I don't know. This whole situation just makes me question who I can trust in general. So we had dinner with my dad last night, and it went pretty well overall. We mainly talked about my mum and Mary. Apparently, my mum had always been concerned about what others thought about her, but when she met Mary's mother, it reached a whole new level. Mary's mother often criticised my mum for all sorts of things. Her parenting style, her clothes, her house, you name it. Whenever it was something that my mum could change, she changed it immediately to appease Mary's mother. That's also why I was put into dance classes when I was younger, because Mary's mother signed Mary up for dance classes, one of many examples. So yeah, as most comments suggested, she's being pushed around by Mary's mum. Is she a narcissist? I don't know, I'm not a psychologist. One thing to know about Mary's family is that they do a damn good job at appearing perfect. Happy family, nice jobs, nice house, etc. I guess my mum bought their persona and tried to copy it. I'm not going to trash talk the whole family here, but let's just say that they have just as many flaws as any other family. Also, my mum was apparently talking crap about me to my dad, comparing me to Mary in basically every way, and she even said multiple times that she wished Mary was her real daughter. She also believes that I took away her chance to live her dream life. Fun fact, but according to my dad, my mum's apparently huge on family. She's always wanted to have at least 4 children. Ironic, I know. She had a pretty traumatic birth experience with me, and doctors told her that she shouldn't try for children again. Yeah, apparently she's blaming me for that. She then hoped that she'd get to live her dream through me, basically that I have a lot of children. Bit of TMI right here, but I've mentioned in the comments a few times already, so whatever. I can't get pregnant, like at all, which means she luckily won't get any grandchildren from me. I guess she sticks so close to Mary and Mary's mother because she hopes to be a grandma to Mary's potential children. That's honestly so creepy and messed up in my opinion, but well, we're talking about my mum here. I also feel the need to clarify that I didn't know any of that. My mum never said anything negative about me to my face. Sure, there were some comparisons here and there, but nothing major or something that had an impact on me. It's always been just general stuff that parents tend to do, comparing grades, behaviour, skills, etc. She's also never directly blamed me for her inability to have any more children, and never said anything bad about me not being able to conceive. This is all just stuff she apparently said behind my back. She's always been pretty alright to me. She most definitely wasn't the best mum ever, but she wasn't horrible either. Just a person who, in my opinion, shouldn't have had a child in the first place. My dad also admitted that he'd considered divorcing her a few times, but never went through with it because he was scared that my mum would get primary custody. He's currently considering it again, so let's see how that goes. As for why he never stood up to my mum, he genuinely didn't have a reason for it. He knew that my mum's never said anything like the things above to my face, so he didn't think that he should tell me, at least not until I moved out. He didn't engage in these types of conversations with my mum and kept telling her to stop every time, which caused a lot of fighting between them. I knew that their marriage was messed up, but I always thought this had different reasons. Also, my mum reached out to my mother-in-law and complained about Dave, how he changed me and stuff, referring to me cutting off Mary and choosing my fiance over my best friend. My mother-in-law, who's an absolute angel by the way, simply asked her why she's discussing this with her since Dave and I are adults. There's no need to contact her for it. My mum also told her that Mary said that Dave is cheating on me. She then simply told my mum, "Sounds like Mary's projecting," and hung up. I'm honestly so ticked that my mum tried to involve her in this situation, and I can't help but wonder if she tried to create conflict between my mother-in-law and my fiancé. Maybe she genuinely believes Mary and wanted to warn my mother-in-law, but I guess that would be wishful thinking. For some background, my mother-in-law was a single mum because her ex-boyfriend, Dave's father, cheated on her shortly after giving birth. As you might be able to imagine, she hates cheaters with a burning passion, and my mum obviously knew that. So yeah, I guess my mum talked to Mary, who doubled down, and my mum decided to believe her. I was expecting that this would happen, but honestly, I'm really disappointed. I'm not even sad, angry, or anything, just absolutely disappointed and confused. I'm currently considering sending her one last text before cutting her out for now, but I don't know if I should give her the pleasure of receiving an explanation. I'm still on the fence about cutting ties with her in general, mainly for my dad's sake. Their marriage is rocky already, and although he's considering divorcing her, I'm not sure if he'll actually go through with it. Keeping in contact with one parent while not talking to the other one must put a whole lot of stress on the parent you're still in touch with, and I quite honestly don't want to worsen my dad's home life any further. It's so crazy how I've lost so many people who I considered important to me in such a short amount of time. This whole situation also made me question other people, like my dad, a whole lot. There were so many people in my life throughout all those years, and nobody said anything. Why didn't my grandparents step in, or my aunt, or family friends? I can't imagine that they didn't know about any of it, but then again, I didn't either. I also have no idea why I never noticed that my mum held some sort of resentment towards me. Shouldn't I have noticed? I mean, I'd been living with her under one roof for 18 years, yet I never noticed or imagined that she actually doesn't like me. Also yes, Reddit became my new diary, lol. Another couple days, another update. This is just going to be a small update since not much happened, but I still want to share this because I think it's quite ironic. It's also pretty late and I'm staying at a hotel right now, so sorry if some stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I had a gig tonight and Mary's ex-boyfriend, Julian, showed up after the show. Yes, ex-boyfriend. He came up to me and told me that he broke up with her this morning. Then he got free drinks for the rest of the night and we had an amazing time at the after party, lol. I've already mentioned this in the comments, but I told mutual friends who asked, not those who attacked me, what really went down between Mary and me. I guess they've told other mutual friends and it got around to Julian. He asked her if my story is true, and Mary apparently got really defensive. After some back and forth, she called him an option that she's keeping around until Dave's single or she finds someone better. He dumped her right there and then. Mary must have spiraled after that because she's texted me over a new Instagram account and said that I've ruined her life. I don't believe in karma, but this honestly made my day. Also, I've called my grandparents and they didn't know how my mum really felt about me, which honestly puts my mind at ease a bit. At least I wasn't the only one being oblivious. I guess she did a really good job at hiding her true sentiments. For my parents, I've decided to go low contact with my mum and keep in touch with my dad. He's not going to divorce her anytime soon for several reasons. I'm also still on the fence on whether to cut ties with my mum completely or not. While many people in the comments mentioned that they're not in contact with their families anymore, I don't feel ready for that yet. I want to have a conversation with my mum first, just so that I can hear what I've been told by my dad straight from her. But right now, I don't want to have that conversation, so yeah, I'm basically keeping her around for now. Yeah, within arm's distance is smart though, I think. Now for another update, and the final one so far. I don't really know how to start this, so yeah. Mary hasn't tried to contact me again, but she started sending videos of her having fun with herself to Dave. It's been 3 so far, and they've all been sent through different burner accounts. He didn't respond to any of them, and we don't really know what we should do about it. He gets sent videos like that quite often, but it's usually just 1 video per person, not 3 in a row sent by the same one, which makes them easier to ignore and block. So far, he's obviously deleted all videos she's sent him and blocked her on every account through which she tried to contact him. He hopes that if he's not going to respond, that she'll stop soon, and well, I hope so too. It's honestly getting annoying hearing my ex-best friend moan my fiance's name. I also met up with my mum today. She texted me yesterday and asked me to meet up. She knows that Julian and Mary broke up and also knows the reason for it. I don't know how she's gotten the story. It apparently was a weird mismatch of Julian, Mary, and Mary's mum. My mum was pretty distraught when she told me this, and all of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Mary told her this, Julian told her that, and so on. She ended up believing Julian over Mary for whatever reason. Maybe it was because last time I met up with my mum, I told her that Mary's interested in Dave, and that obviously matches Julian's story. I have no idea. I also don't know why Julian told her. I've asked him to talk to my mum after some people suggested it in the comments, but he seemed pretty apprehensive. I guess he ended up telling her anyway. Overall, she was very apologetic for not believing me and siding with Mary. She also asked me if Mary tried anything with Dave so far, and I told her about the videos. She's really mad at Mary and has blocked her number for now, and also wants to limit contact with Mary's mother, as far as I know, but doesn't really know how to go about it yet. They share a lot of hobbies and are basically in all the same clubs, book, sports, and so on. Typical late 50s mum stuff, basically. So yeah, I guess everything's fine. I'm still going to keep my distance from her, but she seemed very genuine about wanting to make things right. We're on a better path now. Still not great, but we're getting there. This might also be the last update, unless something big should happen, but if everything's going to stay the way it is right now, there's not much to update on. Let's read some final comments. Am I the only person who read this part and thought, WTF, your fiance often gets sent videos of random women masturbating? Commenter replies, she clarified this in a response on the original update. Her fiance is a performer and performs often in bars and clubs. Bars and clubs equals drunk girls throwing themselves at him and doing desperate things like sending explicit pictures and videos. But with those situations, I think they don't get a response, sober up, and are likely, hopefully, mortified that they did it. He blocks them when he gets them, and that's enough for those women to get the hint, or at least not be desperate enough to get burner numbers to continue sending them. Unlike Mary, who is that pathetic and desperate. My god, what a clusterfuck. Mary is probably just going to keep escalating with Dave, and Opie's mother is just the worst, bent over backwards to side with Mary instead of her own kid, and her reasoning was garbage too. I hope Mary disappears from Opie's life and gives her some damn peace. Not gonna lie, if my mum had talked about me like that for that long, would scream at me because she believed my ex-friend over me, but then did a 180 and now wants to fix everything because her BFF's daughter's ex contacted her and said that, yeah, actually Opie was telling the truth, I would still cut contact. And also, from screaming in Opie's face to cutting contact with BFF and Mary in about a week, because she believed Julian, but not OP, that's a level of wild I'm severely side-eyeing. Yeah, it doesn't sound like the mum's quite all there, but I think Opie's playing it right and keeping her at arm's length, but, willing to move on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, we're going to leave that story there and move on to another one. Alrighty, this next one's from Am I Wrong? It was written by user Available Ferret, and it's titled, Am I wrong for being upset my girlfriend of 8 years now wants sex? My girlfriend and I have been together for 8 years, and we've never had sex. My girlfriend has had some issues regarding sex. She's gone to a therapist and she realized she may never want sex. I knew all of this beforehand, and I was willing to stay sexless as she's a wonderful person. I've never pressured her for sex and never expected it. It was hard for me at times though. Also, non-monogamy was never an option. Fast forward a few years and my libido is completely gone. I don't do anything sexual. I still hug and kiss my girlfriend though. I don't even masturbate or watch porn anymore. Even if a sex scene comes up on a movie or TV, it does nothing for me. Any sex drive I ever had is gone. My girlfriend recently tried to grab my crotch, and I pushed her away. I asked what is she doing, and she says she wants to try and start being sexual with me. We had a long talk about why she feels this way, and she says she can't really explain it. I told her I don't want to have sex, and she was disappointed. Things have gotten more tense between us, and the other day we had a fight. She says that I'm just doing this to punish her because she wouldn't have sex with me before. She says she doesn't believe me when I say my libido is gone. I'm just really frustrated with her right now because I was willing to give up sex to be with her, and I never made her feel bad about it, and now she's upset with me. Am I wrong in this? Wow, 8 years in a relationship and no sex? There's no wonder his libido is gone. Let's go to the comments. Quote, she says she doesn't believe me when I say my libido is gone. What does she have to say about you being understanding of her issues regarding sex for the last 7 years? Sounds like main character syndrome. I don't know, man, but good luck. Opie says, she said it's different because she had some trauma regarding sex and that I've never been sexually assaulted. True. Opie comments on how he controls his sex drive. It's hard to explain how I did it, but anytime I felt horny, I just did things like hitting myself or telling myself to stop several times. I did this because otherwise I'd end up sexually frustrated. And on his girlfriend being dismissive and not accepting no as an answer. I get it, but it's really frustrating. I mean, I spent 8 years and never once pressured her or got mad at her, and now that it's me who doesn't want sex, she picks fights and yells at me. Another comment adds, you're not wrong. No one is entitled to suddenly have sex, especially when she said she was never going to have it. Now what I'm curious and kind of sad about is you going years, almost a decade, without sex, not because you wanted to, but because she didn't want to. And now because she suddenly wants it, she expects you to just go along. Extremely selfish mentality for her to just think of you as a light switch to turn on and off for her own personal preferences. Geez, and she didn't even talk to you before grabbing you? Man, this situation sucks. Agreed. Opie updates 3 days later. We had a talk. I explained to her what I did to get rid of my libido. Basically, I hit myself and told myself no when I got horny. She didn't know this. I never told her because I didn't want her to feel bad for not having sex with me. I didn't want to tell her, but she insisted on knowing why I don't have a libido anymore. She started crying when I told her. She said she was sorry she made me go through that. I told her it's not her fault and that it was my choice. We just held each other for a while after that. We decided that we'd go to couples therapy, and when I'm ready, going to see a sex therapist. She said she's sorry for how she's been acting and that she's willing to be patient with me. I asked her what happens if I never get my libido back. She said she doesn't know, but she said she'll be patient with me. So yeah, I'll try to get my libido back. I don't feel comfortable discussing now, but something I want to mention during therapy is this pressure I'm getting from my girlfriend. Like, maybe I'm overthinking, but I guess it feels like she's waiting for me to have sex. I don't know, but when I decided to be with her, I was more of the mind of, I may never have sex again. I wasn't waiting for my girlfriend to get better so we could have sex. I accepted the fact that I could go sexless for the rest of my life. I don't know, I guess this is a discussion for later. Edit, I think a lot of people are assuming I beat the crap out of myself. No, I didn't punch myself at full force. I slapped my thigh or my hand, or pinched myself whenever I got horny, or tried to look at porn. I did not punch my dick or balls. Youch, one comment says. What was her reason for always denying you, and now suddenly finding you desirable again? Opie says, trauma. She went through some bad sexual trauma when she was younger. Wow, I'm sorry. This is a difficult path. Your girlfriend needs to change her mindset. You gave up sex, retrained your brain, accepted her exactly how she is. That is very noble of you. She needs to love you and accept you as you are. She says she'll be patient. She owes minimum 8 years. Good luck on the therapy. I think that is an excellent idea. And now for a new update, 6.5 months later. It's been a long time since I posted, and things have changed a lot in the past few months. We did find a therapist for us, and one for myself. It was hard to open up. I felt like I wasn't allowed to be frustrated a good portion of the time. I did manage to open up to my girlfriend. Honestly, it was a pretty arduous journey for us, but we are in a better place now. My girlfriend recognized that she was wrong for pressuring me into sex and grabbing me out of nowhere. I recognized I was wrong for my self-therapy when it came to killing my libido. We took small steps towards having sex. Eventually, we finally did. The first time we tried was a mess. Eventually, though, it started to feel natural. We'll still go to therapy, but we're both in a much better place now, and we're having sex pretty consistently. I honestly didn't realize how much I missed it. One comment says, well, this was the best case scenario. I'm glad you're doing better, and I truly hope that this is a healthier relationship than it sounded like in your previous posts. Honestly, this update is so refreshing to read. It's great to see a couple willing to work through tough issues together rather than just giving up. The fact that both of you took accountability, found therapy, and took small steps towards intimacy is really inspiring. Relationships are hard work, but it sounds like you're both stronger because of it. Wishing you both continued growth and happiness. Yeah, likewise, and they're doing a great job. I mean, 6-month turnaround is incredible progress for something like this, I think. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below, and let's move on again. Okay, this next one was actually posted on No Stupid Questions. It was written by user Swiss Cheese for Life, and it's titled, What should I do if my brother-in-law makes my family watch all 6 Rocky movies on Christmas and I can't take it anymore? My brother-in-law is a great guy. He's got a successful small business, has 2 awesome kids, and treats my sister, his wife, really well. However, when we all gather at my parents' house for Christmas every year, he insists on putting on the Rocky movies all day. Not only do they have to be on the TV, but he wants to be sure that we're watching the movies and paying attention to them. They can't just be on in the background. He starts right when we wake, and we have to open presents while the first movie plays. Then he puts on Rocky 2, then 3, and so on. They play throughout the entire day, and the volume of the TV is always so loud. Anytime we have to leave to go into another room to try and do something else, he gives us a guilt trip that we're not participating in the family tradition. I can't take it anymore. I don't find the movies to be bad, but I feel this tradition doesn't have much to do with Christmas, and I don't like the movies enough to have them on every single year. I'm also not the only one in my family who wants this tradition to end. What can we do? That's the most bizarre tradition I've ever heard. Yeah, they're not exactly Christmas movies. One comment says, Laughing my ass off, this is hilarious. Get up and go do something else. You don't have to sit and watch movies just because someone asked you to. Then your family needs to put on their big boy and girl pants and communicate with him that you don't want to watch the movies. Edit, I'm really curious what's going to be the conclusion to Opie's update. My guess is brother-in-law is just going to stop coming over on Christmas Day. He has a tradition he likes doing on Christmas while everyone else doesn't. Seems pretty simple fix as brother-in-law just doesn't come to Christmas Day anymore. It also seems like he has no problem with your sister and their children staying, so that's a good thing. Why is brother-in-law king of Christmas? Just say you don't want to watch the movies or put something else on. Maybe communicate that you hate this tradition and would rather gouge out your own eyes than see one more pixel of Sylvester Stallone. Opie updates the same day, a few hours later. Edit, this morning between Rocky 2 and 3, myself, my 2 brothers and my parents decided we were going to play a game in another room. My brother-in-law came in and said we needed to be in the living room where the movie was playing. We told him no, not this year. We want to do something else. He left and we don't know where he drove off to. His wife and kids are still here. We'll give an update if anything else happens. And edit 2, for those asking for an update, brother-in-law texted his wife, my sister, and said he's at home by himself watching the Rocky movies and won't be coming back. One of my brothers is going to drop my sister and her kids off at their house when we're done with our festivities here. We have Christmas music playing, games going on, and a bunch of us are putting dinner together. It's been a great day so far without the brother-in-law. One comment adds, How do situations like this even get to this point? At year 2, all you say is, really? No, we did that last year, we're not doing it. And that is it. Like nothing happens beyond that. How does this turn into a thing that goes on year after year after year with nobody saying anything? It wouldn't make year 1 in my family. You do you, but our ADHD can't. Lol, same with my family. No way you can get everyone in a room paying attention for one movie, never mind the entire Rocky canon. Weird thing is, he's a brother-in-law, not even a brother, so it's not even his siblings and parents he's doing this to. It's his in-laws. How have they been putting up with this? My mum would be far more likely to tolerate this from my sweet angel of a husband than her good-for-nothing daughter. She's grateful he puts up with me, and he's a guest in their house, and my family's guest takes priority. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I'd put up with watching the entire Rocky franchise in one day, let alone Christmas Day. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. That's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.